Doesn't say anything about hooking into anything.
Welcome everybody to another edition of TalkingWithHeroes.com talk show program. I am Bob Calvert, your host. The website is www.talkingwithheroes.com. Our online news site is www.thankyouforyourservice.us, and we are broadcasting on Blog Talk Radio, and we also are videotaping. Thank you to Don Eisen, and this will be on YouTube. We're here at Michael Reagan, his home office, which is www.FallenHeroesProject.com. We have some GoldStar families sitting here. We have other GoldStar families that are going to be calling in. And what I'd like to do first is introduce the last minute development. Don Eisen, come on from the camera here, over here, and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Bob. Don Eisen, my son recently went inactive Marines. He had 3 deployments. He's 22 now. He's going to be active reserves very soon, and hopefully going to become a fireman. But I'm glad to be here and be of assistance to Bob and Mike and all the GoldStar folks.
Okay. Thank you, Don. Thank you for jumping in at the last minute so we could film this for YouTube. And thank you to your son for his service to our country. Does anybody have a cell phone that we could dial in? We're trying to do this where we catch the audio. Okay, dial this number here, and then put the speakerphone on, like near your camera. Okay. So we're going to be filming this so we can hear the people calling in also on the camera. Okay, to get us started, I'd like honor to introduce somebody who I've met before at a Soldiers Angels event with Patty Bader, and interviewed just recently with Major General Graham and Carol Graham, Michael Reagan.
First, I want to say hi to everybody, and I'm really pleased that everybody's online and here in the home. I've decided tonight that this project's about the GoldStar family, so what we're going to do is we're going to spend most of the time talking with them, because I think their stories about their heroes is much more important than the project. At the same time, if you want to get more information on the Fallen Hero Project, just go to FallenHeroesProject.org, and everything will be there for you. If you happen to be a family who needs my service, then that page will also tell you how to get that done. And again, the portraits are free, and as of now we've done 3,200 of them, and as I've said many times, this is the most important thing I've ever done, but you'll meet the people that'll explain why that is. Thanks a lot, Bob.
Okay, yes, definitely go to Michael's website, and you've drawn, what, 3,200 portraits of fallen heroes.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
for your service to our country, too, because you are also a veteran.
Vietnam.
Vietnam veteran. Okay, so what we're going to do now is get my papers out here. Okay, I'm going to introduce a gentleman I just met last night. He's also a veteran. We're going to let him talk about himself and his son, Joe Colgan. Let's see if we can do this without.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
A little about myself as a veteran. I wasn't really deciding to go into the Army, but a judge gave me a couple options, and so I volunteered for the Army in 1963, February, and went to basic training, and then was stationed right out of basic training to Frankfurt, Germany, where I was assigned to be a company clerk. I couldn't even type. So I got off to a pretty good start with the Army, but anyway, I was out of the Army in January of '66, but I'd really like to talk about my son, and Ben. He ended up second lieutenant Ben Colgan, but he went into the Army. He kind of surprised us. We were peace activists, and Ben had gone on a lot of activities with me as he was growing up, but But right after high school, he decided to go into the Army. I didn't even know he was thinking about it, but surprised both myself and my wife. But he wanted to go in as a medic, and he didn't know for sure what he really wanted to do. But we had 8 children, and Benny was right in the middle, number 4, and I couldn't really afford to help them in college unless they really knew what they wanted to go into, and so that was the deal. But anyway, he got stationed in at the Yakima firing base after he came out of training as basic and AIT, and a sergeant there. Sergeant Morrison talked him into joining the, thinking about joining the Special Forces because you get better training and better, or faster training. And he tried out and he got into it. And then he went in 1991. And he, in 1997, he was going to get out, but he heard about a Delta team that was being formed, and he tried out for that and made that. And then in 2002, he had finished his college credits, and he decided to become an officer. And he couldn't go back into Delta unless he had captain's rank, so he had to take the first slot that opened. And that tagged him right up. The timing was just right. He was assigned as a chemical officer to an armored division that ended up right in the Adman district of Baghdad, and here they were into a situation that they were not trained to do. They were a survey platoon that usually shoot the big guns at far from the battle zone. But anyway, he had all this training, and the officer of one of the platoons was he stayed back in Gießen where Ben was stationed, and because he had a child coming, and so he just asked, and since there were no weapons of mass destruction or any chemical action going on, he asked the Lieutenant Colonel Bill Rabina that to use his skills, and he was determined to help these guys learn the skills for what they were going to have to do. And they practiced every afternoon. He was kind of embedded with them, and that was an abnormal thing for an officer too. But every afternoon they trained, and then pretty soon they were. And he was able to. He was a real charismatic guy and he knew how to get along with enlisted guys. So he did well while he was over there. He was killed on November 1st, 2003, and of course that really changed my life and all our lives. But anyway, Bob, I don't. How's my time going?
You're fine.
Okay. Is there any?
You say it's
That's
changed.
a quick.
Sure, that's okay. First of all, I'm sorry for your loss. Always am. Unfortunately, I keep hoping there won't be another GoldStar family. There's thousands of people, men and women we've lost, and who knows how many hundreds of thousands, maybe family members. But how did this? You said it changed your life. What you're doing? You're doing some stuff right now, helping troops, aren't you? We were talking about it last night.
Oh yes, well, what really changed my life was when the officers came to my house, and I was in the bathroom when my wife. I heard her scream, "Joe, come quickly!" And that tone I'd never heard before, and so I knew it was something serious, and I got out as quick as I could, and I came down the hallway, and as soon as I saw the the eyes and the brim of the hat, I knew what had happened. But at that very moment, I heard the words, "Joe, don't be afraid. Benny's okay." And then I was just enveloped with a sense of love and that I've never experienced before. And my father died when I was 10, and then very many of my best friends were killed. Died early. My best friend in grade school, my best friend in high school, girlfriend. I was always looking for a father figure. As soon as I get to know him real good, he would die early. I had one of my uncles, and then some friends from church, and I've still got one more fellow that's older. He's 85, and he's in the process of dying. But I was always disappointed because I didn't figure God knew anything about me or didn't love me because I just thought I knew that when my dad died that he was taking away the one person that I really loved, and I had a kind of a sack of shit complex from that whole thing. SOS, I call it. I should have said that. Came out too fast. But anyway, Benny was. Man, I mean, he was me with a dad, and I just, you're not supposed to say you love one child more than another, but he was deep down my favorite, and I don't know, but anyway, he was always, he was just my wife called him a Pied Piper, but when I found out after his at the funeral, I had 5 guys come up to me and say that they thought he was their very best friend because a couple guys got up and said things, and he was just that type of person, and he was always kind, very kind, and I remember when he was one thing that I was proud to hear him say, or in that article that the Time magazine wrote about him, that he had told him to always go in hard and fast and violent, but then as soon as everything's under control, you treat the people with respect, and some of them commented about the force of Ben's that he had on everybody he met over there, and it's quite a story.
So, do you have a website?
No.
Oh, you don't have a website, okay. I should remember that, we talked about this last night. Okay.
How am I doing on time now?
No, you're fine. What would you like to say to the troops that are listening right now? 'Cause they've been calling into our program, and they've been told that some of them are trying on Thursday nights to listen, or later on because it's in the archives. What would you like to say to them?
Well, I'll tell you, I love you guys, and I remember each and every one of you in my prayers every day. I also have I've been protesting the war ever since Ben left, and still doing so. But I just want you guys to know that I love each and every one of you, and just want to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As I said last night, I'm happy to meet you, honored to meet you, but sorry to meet you under these circumstances.
Thank you, Bob.
Keep you in my prayers.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's see here. Oh, perfect timing. How about that? Our next guest is just called in, Eric Hersberg. Hang on a second here. Let me click the right button here, folks. You're on TalkingWithHeroes.com. And hello, is this Eric Hersberg? Great, thank you. I appreciate you calling in. It was perfect timing on the timing here. And why don't you introduce yourself and tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, and then of course talk about your son. you-
of September 11th happened, I mean, that pretty much sealed the deal for him that he was going to go in the military, and you know, the rest is history, so to speak.
Okay. Are you still hearing feedback?
Not now.
Okay, good. We're trying to get the audio also on the video camera because we're going to put this on YouTube too. Okay. And
Great.
so, do you have a web page that you have set up? I know a lot of GoldStar families set up web pages.
I do. Right after Eric's death, we really struggled with what to do to make something positive come out of his passing, and one of the things that we were able to do was establish 2 scholarships in his name, one in Florida, which is interesting because he never lived in Florida, and another from his high school in Maryland. And so we have a memorial webpage set up for him, and that has all the information about the scholarships there and all about Eric's life as well. And that's www.ericwhersberg.com.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Is there anything else you'd like to share about your son?
You know, that's a good question, because I don't know how it is for some Gold Star parents, especially the dads. But the way that I have kind of dealt with it so that I could just continue to function is a lot of Eric's memories are just put away in a room, and I don't go to visit very often. It's just really the way that I cope with things. And so when I get an open-ended question like that, I don't really know what to say, because I don't, you know, I kind of don't go into that room of memories on purpose, because it's just really painful to do that. So, you know, I love my son. He was just a great kid. He was just one of the most selfless people that I've ever met. And he had it figured out at a very young age, which is just amazing to me, that here's a 20-year-old young man who knew what his purpose in life was, and he wanted to go where he would put himself in danger, because that's how he could make a difference.
Knew what his purpose in life was,
and I just don't know where that came from. I just marvel
that's how
at
he
his
could make a difference.
selflessness.
And I just don't know where that came from. I just marvel at his selflessness and just his courage.
Okay, well, I thank you for sharing that. Would you like to give a shout out to our troops in Afghanistan, really serving around the world, if you'd like to do that?
Would you like to give a shout out to our troops in Afghanistan, really serving around the world, if you'd like to do that?
Yeah, I really would. You guys and gals, you're just awesome. I just am in such awe, and I just appreciate what you're doing for us. And, you know, come home soon. Do the job and come home soon.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking your time to be on and sharing, you know, from you and your family and for your son. I appreciate
taking your time to be on and sharing, you know, from you and your family and for your son. I appreciate it.
Oh, sure thing, Bob. And just want to shout out to Mike and Joe and everybody else who's there at the house.
I love you, Eric.
Mike, you had a party and you didn't invite me.
Yeah.
We have a lot of them without you. Where are you?
Hi, Eric.
Love you too, brother.
All right, man.
I'm halfway across the country, unfortunately.
You're actually all the way across the country, but I got to get you out to Seattle a little more often.
You're actually all the way across the country, but I got to get you out to Seattle a little more often. I'd love to do that. Go up to Alaska. Let's have a board meeting up there.
That'd be good.
Anybody want to say anything?
No. Ready.
Go ahead. Oh. Okay, I'm sorry. Folks that are listening on audio, just so you know, we're also, we want to get the audio on the video camera, and there's a delay. So we're hoping that's not affecting you listening on audio, but this will be on YouTube.
The audio on the video camera, if there's a delay. So we're hoping that's not affecting you listening on audio, but this will be on YouTube.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate you taking your time tonight to be on the air, and I'm sorry for your loss. You know, our prayers are with
Thank you,
you.
Eric. I appreciate you taking your time tonight to be on the air, and I'm sorry for your loss. You know, our prayers are with you.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate you having me.
Okay, God bless you. Okay, turn the volume down now. Okay, and next, sitting here with us, introduce Brian and Shelley Starr. And pass the mic over.
Thank you, Bob. We are Brian and Shelley Starr, our son, Corporal Jeff Starr, United States Marine Corps. We lost Jeff May 30th, Memorial Day, 2005. He was on his third deployment to Iraq. He was 5 days past his 22nd birthday and had seen quite a bit of combat during his 3 deployments. I like to tell the story of Jeff and how he got us to meet the President of the United States, George W. Bush. Jeff had left a letter on his computer, and it was one of those that, in case I die, I'd like you guys to read this. And his computer came back with his belongings a couple months after his death, and we looked on the computer, and there was a icon that said "Letter Home," and read it, and it was addressed to his girlfriend at the time. We had in reading it, I had sent a paragraph to the county newspaper, and just saying this is what our son was doing, and we'd kind of a letter to the editor and say we'd just like you to know. And they came back to us rather quickly and said we'd like to do a story, and a story ensued with the Everett with the Herald newspaper, and that had hit the internet, and the part that really struck a chord with people read like this. This is quoting from Jeff. "I don't regret going. Everybody dies, but few get to do it for something as important as freedom. It may seem confusing why we are here in Iraq. It's not to me. I'm here helping these people so that they can live the way we live, not have to worry about tyrants or vicious dictators, to do what they want with their lives. To me, that is why I died. Others have died for my freedom. Now this is my mark." 6 months later, the President Bush had quoted that in a speech to the Naval Academy. Shelley's brother, my brother-in-law, was a Vietnam combat vet, and had actually called the White House and asked them if we could be invited to the State of the Union message coming up the following January. And they had said, "No, sorry, we can't, but we'll keep you in mind." And 6 months later, June 2006, we got a call from the White House saying the President would like to meet with us. And the rest very cordial meeting, half-an-hour meeting with the President, and a little surreal. But a little more about Jeff I'd like Shelley to share.
Well, also using the letter as a basis after Jeffrey's death, we have we did 2 things. One thing is we installed a climbing wall at the Boys and Girls Club in his honor, because that was what Jeff was all about as a little boy, was to be cool and have fun. That was his main goal, and he achieved all of that. So we installed a climbing wall for him, and then we were also able to set up a scholarship through his high school, and we're asking them to write an essay based on his quote and about what freedom means to them. So it's making them critically think about what does that mean going down to the Burger King to get a hamburger? Does that mean voting for your next president? What does that mean? And so that's been a really great opportunity for us to remind our community about Jeffrey and his service and what all of our military are doing every single day around the world, sacrificing, leaving their families, and it just brings me to tears to think about all that they're giving up on a daily basis. So, as Jeffrey was a high schooler, he just didn't really want to be noticed. He wanted to sit in the back. He just wanted not to be called on. And then you fast forward through his career as a Marine, and they really made him a man. I mean, he was so proud to be a Marine, and he was a good Marine. And he took it upon himself to learn the martial arts of the Marine Corps, and he was training his guys. He built a dojo, and
Worked off season to achieve the brown belt status, instructor status.
And so when he was over in Iraq, they built a dojo there, and he was training all of his guys on hand-to-hand combat on his free time. Of course, there wasn't anything else to do on his free time over there, but he made something to do. And so he was awarded the Navy Achievement Medal for that 2 days before he was killed. He was given that award for service beyond the call, and so that just spoke to who he was, a leader. And his Marines, I'm on Facebook, and the only reason I'm on Facebook is because I can be in contact with his Marines, and they tell us stories, and we've gotten together a few times over the years, and it's remarkable that here we're approaching the 8-year anniversary in May, and they're talking about coming out again, and they just it's such a band of brothers, and I know it sounds like a cliche, but it truly is, and we just want to be there to help these guys as they move through their life and heal from their wounds, both physical and spiritual and emotional. So
do you have a website too?
We don't.
Oh, you
no,
don't?
just the Facebook page, which Jeffrey's sister set up one for him, and it's called RIM Corporal Jeff Starr, and it's not rest in peace, it's rest in mischief, because that's what his little sister remembers of her big brother. So anyway, but there is a Facebook page for Jeffrey Starr.
So what would they put in the Facebook search box to find it?
Probably Jeffrey Starr, Corporal Jeffrey Starr.
Corporal Jeffrey Starr.
Yeah, and then they could link up with all of Jeffrey's Marines. So his Marines still keep in touch with you? Is that what you? Oh yeah.
On a regular basis.
Yeah.
That's neat that you do that.
And sometimes they'll write really long private messages that aren't on Facebook. They're private to us about how Jeffrey really impacted them as a person, and one in particular, he has gone on to be work at different embassies, and he was in Damascus when it was evacuated, and he was in Baghdad, and now he's home and married and expecting a baby, and he's just shared a lot with us about how important Jeffrey was to him as a young boot.
Ken just recently came out and visited us, and one of Jeff's Marine buddies, and he went to the GAR cemetery and had a beer with Jeff.
And got kicked out.
And we came by and kind of picked him up and went out to dinner and had a great time. And he's turning out to be a very good friend. Yeah.
Great. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us. And again, sorry for your loss. I wish we could meet under different circumstances.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
So would you like to give a shout out to the troops in Afghanistan, or really everywhere where they're serving?
Oh, I just you're all my kids. You're all my sons and daughters, and again, I just know the sacrifices you're going through, and so appreciate it. And thank you, and give your families big hugs for us.
For you Marines, Semper Fi.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, again, folks, we're on TalkingWithHeroes.com. We're here at Michael Reagan's home office, FallenHeroesProject.org, and we're talking with GoldStar families. And actually, next we're going to jump around a little bit here. We're going to be talking to Myra, Michael.
Cool.
Okay, Myra's on hold here. So let me. Okay, Myra, are you there? Okay, great. If you could, first of all, welcome to Talking with Heroes. Like I always say to every Gold Star family, I mean it in my heart. I wish we could meet under different circumstances. And if you could introduce yourself, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and about your son.
Introduce yourself, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and about your son.
Great, thank you. I'm Myra Rintamaki. I'm the mother of Corporal Stephen Rintamaki, who served in the U.S. Marine Corps. He joined at 17 and a half, so I actually had to sign for him to join after he graduated from high school, and certainly tried to convince him to go into something like technology, communication. And he told me very matter-of-factly, no, he's infantry. He's going to be a grunt. And I think that was frightening for me because I wasn't quite sure what that meant. And he joined before 9/11, so we weren't at war. He went ahead and was transferred out and stationed in Kaneohe Bay with 3-3. Give a shout out to those guys, all those guys out there that served with my son for 3 years. Thank you. And Stephen then, on his fourth year, had the opportunity to go back, to Kaneohe Bay and spend his fourth year there without deployment risk. And he thought independently, and then with 4 other buddies from 3-3 decided they wanted to volunteer to go to Iraq. And they were transferred down to 3-1 out of Camp Pendleton for additional training. And then the week of his 21st birthday, he was deployed to Iraq, to the El Anbar province, and served as a tow gunner. And those are the guys that sit on top of the Humvees with the big guns. He liked the big guns. He liked, that's what he liked to do. For safety reasons, he told his mother he was the driver of the Humvee. I had no clue that he even had training for this big gun. And he died in 2004. It was an IED explosion, and 3 other of the people in the Humvee were injured, 2 seriously, but they've recovered, and his driver is still in the Marine Corps, based now in Kaneohe Bay. So we're grateful. It's come full circle, I think, for our family to have someone there that has returned to the base where my son initiated his military career after boot camp. I want to say thank you very much to Mike Reagan. I live a mile away from him, and we work well together in trying to coordinate new Gold Star families that need portraits that Mike does and draws. And a couple of times I've said, Mike, there's a funeral coming up. Can you get me a portrait here in the next week? And he is so efficient and great in what he does that he's able to put that together and get that portrait out for that funeral for that new Gold Star family. So, Mike Reagan, thank you. You know we love you. Bob, is there anything particular you'd like me to share about Gold Star mothers and Gold Star families? I'm in Washington, D.C. right now as part of the Gold Star Mothers organization. For any mother or family member that's out there that doesn't know about Gold Star Mothers, you could find us on the web at goldstarmoms.com. I'd like to share that as a support mechanism too. Anything else, Bob, that you'd like me to talk about?
Okay, sorry, we were waiting for the delay in the on the camera here, but Michael, so you're reaching your hand over here.
Well, it is. It's
Okay,
Myra.
sorry, we were waiting for the delay in the on the camera here, but Michael, so you're reaching your hand over here.
Myra, you and I have talked about this a lot of times. You know how this project's changed my life. Obviously not in the same way it's changed all of your lives.
You know how
But
this project's changed
it has
my life. Obviously
become
not
the
in
most
same way
important thing
it's
I've ever
changed all
done.
of your lives.
And I'm still amazed at how families have allowed
Has,
me into their homes
become
and
the most
into
important
this
thing I've ever done.
time.
And I'm still amazed at how families have
As one
allowed
mom
me
said to me one time, she
into their
said,
homes and into
"Why do
this
you want to share in our
time."
pain?" And I said, "I'm not sharing in your pain, I'm sharing in your love."
As one mom said to me one time, she said,
And I really mean
"Why
that.
do you want to share in our
But
pain?"
I love
And
you
I
too,
said, "I'm
Myra,
not
and
sharing in your pain, I'm
You're
sharing
just
in your love."
incredible. Do you ever sleep?
I really mean that. But I love you too, Myra, and you're just incredible. You ever sleep?
I was blessed with only needing a certain amount of sleep. So, and my question would be to you: do you ever sleep, Mike? You know, and I worry about you sometimes. You know, when I see you out there walking, and I say, okay, Mike's getting his his healthy fix for the day, and we're grateful to you, Mike. We really are for what you do, and you know, I would say that you're the person that puts Stephen's portrait to life for me. You can take a pencil on a white paper and make it come out 3D with eyes that follow, and there's this spiritual essence to those portraits, and Stephen's picture is sitting in my living room, and he's there with us every day, and I'm grateful to you for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Myra. I appreciate that. I think Michael was just shaking his head. Yes, thank you. And you had mentioned about the GoldStar Family Organization. If I remember right earlier, are you at a GoldStar Mothers event right now?
You had mentioned about the GoldStar Family Organization. I remember right earlier, are you at a GoldStar Mothers event right now?
Well, I'm actually part of the board for the GoldStar Moms, so we do the planning phase for all the GoldStar Mothers activities. And the GoldStar Moms are the support organization for the immediate families, including husbands and siblings that can be associate members. So, yes, I'm calling from Washington, D.C., where the national headquarters for GoldStar Mothers is located.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. And do you have a website set up for your son?
Okay, well, I appreciate that. And do you have a website set up for your son?
You know, I don't have a website for my son. Things that we've done as a family is established a scholarship in his name through the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation, and that website is www.mcsf.org, Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation.org, and they have an annual scholarship that goes out in Stephen's name. And I'd like to say for any of the 3-1 Marines out there, their children actually have priority in receiving those scholarships from my son in honor of my son. So whenever those children, and I know there's probably several years to go yet, you know, reach college age, they're certainly eligible to apply for those scholarships through the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Would you like to give a shout out to the troops in Afghanistan or really around the world where they're serving?
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Would you like to give a shout out to the troops in Afghanistan or really around the world where they're serving?
Oh, absolutely. You know, as Shelley said, you all are our sons and daughters now, and we are out there to support you. We thank you for your service, for your courage, for your strength and fortitude to persevere in environments that may not be so friendly. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time to be on the program with us tonight and sharing your story and about your son.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time to be on the program with us tonight and sharing your story and about your son.
Thank you.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, we are now going to bring on the program.
We're on
Thank
air.
you.
Let's call
Bye-bye.
you back, okay?
Okay, folks, we are now going
Who's
to
this?
bring on
All right.
the program.
Monica McNeil. Welcome, Monica, to Talking with Heroes.
Monica McNeil. Welcome, Monica, to Talking with Heroes.
Hi. Hi.
Yes, I can. Hang on. We're filming at the same time, and there's a delay. So I'm trying to accommodate the delay, and hopefully this will all work out on the video, too. So why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and, of course, about your son.
This will all work out on the video, too. So why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and, of course, about your son.
Okay. Well, actually, I'm very proud to say I'm right now at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and we have the families of the Afghanistan and Iraq fallen of the 2nd Marine 2nd Division, and tomorrow morning we are dedicating a memorial that is in front of the new 2-2 headquarters, and we have a very large celebration tomorrow, and to get all the GoldStar families together and friends of the fallen and family, it's a real honor to be here as part of this very tight family group. Eric, my son, was, I'd like to say, he's your typical overdose of testosterone young boy. Really wanted to be a Marine. He also, for his 17th birthday, he said, Mom, I want a facial and massage, and then at 1 o'clock, I want you to take me to the Marine recruiting station and sign the papers for me to become a Marine. It's just that obviously he turned 18 to be a Marine. So I'm in the car the entire way driving over going, do they, Marines know you like facial massage? And your mom signed the papers. This is what I'm destined to do. This is what I want to do. Please let me be a grunt. I want to become an officer. I'm going to sign up for 6 years. He went to become a sergeant. And he said, and after that, I will promise I will become an officer. I'll go to college. So needless to say, he had a short career as a Marine. He left for Afghanistan on October 29th, 2009. He was killed in February 21st of 2010, so we're coming up on 3 years. He was one hell of a Marine, as I've got his captain here, I've got a lieutenant here in front of me, and not right in front of me, the other room, but he just really wanted to serve our country, and one of the things him and I never spoke about, we talked about a lot of things. I was in New York on 9/11, and I often wonder, because he didn't know if I was dead or alive for almost 3.5 hours. And I often wonder if that motivated him to become a Marine. But I know from all the people he served with, he loved what he was doing. He would be singing in the rain. He'd be singing in the sand. Unfortunately, one of the vehicles broke down. He was a top gunner, and they had to get out of the vehicle. And at that point is when he stepped on an IED with Adam Peake. So they both died together, and his parents are actually here also tonight. But I can tell you the love of the Marines, and I've been taken care of. They're a great group. It's bittersweet to be here at Lejeune, but I will tell you, it is to see all these young people willing to sign up in a time of war. It is unbelievable, and for all of you guys in Afghanistan and gals, let me tell you what, I thank you every day for my freedom.
Thank you for sharing that, Monica. Do you have a website, a memorial website for your son?
Thank you for sharing that, Monica. Do you have a website, a memorial website for your son?
Yes, we do 2 things. One, we have a Facebook page that was started by a friend of his, which it's called In Remembrance of Our Mount Side Friend, Lance Corporal Eric Ward. And his website page is ericleviward.com. And we also do a annual scholarship at his high school, and that we are going to continue for as long as we can. And the other thing we do, which was a friend's idea, we have bands like Lance Armstrong Band. people leave them all over the country, under rocks, on beer glasses, in trees, and they take a picture and they let me know wherever they left Eric, and hopefully someone picks up, Google, finds out the story of Eric, and hopefully inspires another young soul or someone else to understand our military and give appreciation every day. So those are the things we do on a daily to honor him.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, where you're at right now, you mentioned an organization. Is there a website you'd like to share?
Now, where you're at right now, you mentioned an organization. Is there a website you'd like to share?
No, this is actually, I'm also part of the GoldStar Moms. I'm the Vice President of GoldStar Moms of Washington. I actually know Myra and work with Myra on the projects of GoldStar Moms. The people all here are all parents of fallen Marines, and we're here just, like I said, to a memorial dedication for tomorrow. I could have them all do a big shout of Semper Fi or Hoorah, and they'd be happy to do that.
You would do that when? Right now or tomorrow?
Now.
Yeah.
You would do that when? Right now or tomorrow?
I can walk right in there if you'd like me to do that and tell the boys. I would be happy to.
Perfect.
They'd all love to do that, I'm sure.
Great, thank you.
I'm walking back in. Give me 1 second.
Thank you. We'll wait, folks, listening live on the
All
internet.
right, thank you. Thank you. We'll wait, folks.
I'm gonna hold my phone up. All right, give me 1 second. How about that?
That was great. Please tell them thank you. And again, sorry
That was
that
great.
they
Please
lost a
tell
loved
them,
one.
Thank you.
Our prayers are with
again,
everybody.
sorry,
Thousands of families
they lost
across
a
the
loved
country have lost a loved one between Iraq and
prayers are with
Afghanistan.
everybody.
And Michael is, I'm
Thousands
going
of
to pass the
families
mic over to
across
Michael.
the country have lost a loved one between Iraq and Afghanistan. And Michael is.
Hi, sweetie,
pass
it's
the mic
me.
over to Michael.
I just want to be sure. I just want to be sure everybody down there knows that if I haven't
Hi, sweetie.
helped them already,
Hi,
be
Michael.
sure to tell them that
Just want to be sure everybody down there knows that if I haven't helped them already, be sure to tell them that
Michael, we have a display going up for tomorrow's ceremony. I have all of your artwork. I have a family who brought their picture. And as you know, we're going to present a family with one of your photos. And there are families that are going to be, for the first time, knowing about the wonderful work that you do. So you will have some work coming your way. But I know it's with love in your heart that you can make those eyes look so alive on those pictures.
I just wanted you to also know that the kids at Snoqualmie Middle School were fantastic.
I just wanted you to also know that the kids at Snoqualmie Middle School were fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I tried to get there. I was out of town on the day that it was supposed to happen, but I think they raised $1,600 for you, correct?
We had 6 young girls, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in 2 weeks raised over $1,650 for the project.
Young girls, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in 2 weeks raised over $1,650 for the project.
They were so proud. They called and told me what they were doing and that you were going to come to the school, and you've touched their hearts, the teacher. I thank you so much for everything you do.
You're very welcome, and I'll see you when you get back.
Thank you, Monica. I appreciate you taking the time to come on the
All
program
right,
tonight.
thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Monica. I appreciate you taking the time to come on the program tonight.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, I want to mention also, and I wasn't sure if their schedule was going to permit it, but Major General Mark Graham and Carol Graham,
I want to mention
we're going to try to
also,
call in
I
tonight,
wasn't sure if their schedule was going
and
to permit,
apparently
but
weren't able
Major
to.
General Mark Graham and Carol Graham, we're going to try to call in tonight. and apparently weren't able to.
And we're going to turn down the volume here. There we go. Thank you. And they actually were on our program a number of weeks ago. For those of you who want to listen to their story, just go to blogtalkradio.com, Talking with Heroes, Heroes, and then the number 1. Major General Mark Graham was the commander for Carson, just recently retired after 34 years of service, and in 1 year they lost 2 sons. One to a suicide and the other to an IED in Iraq. And now that he's retired, Mark and Carol are just dedicated to doing what they can to help our troops. As they've said a number of times, including on that program, they're going to do everything they can to save lives and to help with PTSD and TBI. What I'd like to do now is hand the mic back over to Michael.
Handing the mic to Mike.
What?
Handing the
hand
mic
the
to
mic
Mike.
to Mike. Is that pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay. Now tell us a little bit more now about Fallen Heroes Project and what you've been doing.
9 years ago, I was contacted by a woman in Boise, Idaho. Her name is Sharice Johnson. She said that she had seen a piece on my portrait work on television, and she wanted to know how much I would charge to draw a portrait of her husband, Michael. And at first I was pretty excited about this because I figured, you know, a little national exposure never hurts an artist. Then she told me that he was a corpsman and he died last year in Iraq. Well, I'm a Marine Vietnam combat veteran, and corpsmen are the bravest people I've ever known, so I told her I couldn't charge her, and I said, just let me do the drawing for free. So she sent me the photographs. I did that picture. I sent it back to her. She contacted me 2 days after she received it, and she said that in the year her husband's been dead, everybody that loved her has done everything they can do to take care of her, but the one thing that hadn't happened is she hadn't slept an entire evening through in a year. She said to me, she said, yesterday I received the portrait of my husband. When I pulled it out of the envelope, I looked into his eyes. I reconnected with him instantly. We were able to finish some of the conversations that we hadn't been able to finish. She said I was able to tell him I loved him, and she said I felt him tell me he loved me. And then she said I was able to say goodbye. She said the reason I've called you is to thank you because last night's the first night in a year I've slept all night. And that was portrait number 1, and now I've done over 3,200 more portraits across Canada, Great Britain, and the United States. And it has become the most important thing I've ever done in my life. It's changed me totally. And with the support of my wife, Cheryl, believe me, when you tell your wife you're going to retire from your job and start doing portraits for free all across the world and you don't know how long it's going to last, she supported me. By the way, somebody asked me all the time, I know I'm getting close to the time.
No, you're okay. Go ahead.
They said to me one time, I was meeting with General Jacoby when he was the commanding general of I Corps at Fort Lewis, and a great man, by the way. If he's listening to this, contact me, you know where I'm at. But he's a great man, and he asked me a question at the end of my talk to his command staff before they went to Iraq. He said, when do you think you're going to be done drawing these portraits? Initially I didn't have an answer. Then he laughed and he said, you know, I've talked to the families who've received your portraits. He says, I don't think you're ever going to be able to finish this project. So I've come up with an answer. I'll stop drawing portraits the day before someone ends up drawing mine. But committing my life to these families is really easy for me. I said goodbye to a lot of my friends in Vietnam, and I wasn't able to do anything when I got home. I was just trying to keep my head on my shoulders. But now I'm old enough. Now I know what I can do, and this is what I'm doing. And the people that I've worked with are all part of my family, and they're the most incredible people in the entire world. And to allow me to come into their home with no political agenda at all and just do something free for them, it's beyond my comprehension as to why they do that, but it strikes me as pure love that they do.
Okay. Now, for the first time, I've actually been in your room where you actually is drawing. So, okay, the portraits. You have a stack. I mean, unfortunately, but you have a whole bunch of them to draw. And how many did you say you can draw a day?
Well, I plan to do 2 a day, but every once in a while that doesn't happen. One day I started drawing a young woman who died. Sadly, she really didn't come home. And as I started looking into her beautiful eyes, they grabbed me. And it took me 3 days to finish the drawing because I didn't want to stop looking into her eyes. And then I sent that picture home, and her name was Sam Huff. Her dad and mom lived down in Tucson, Arizona. But that happens every once in a while. But I try and do 2 a day. There's been times when I've had to do 4 for presentations. Like Myra said, I'll get a call today. I got a call on January 4th from Fort Hood saying that a soldier died on January 3rd and needed to be presented to the family on January 10th. So I had no time. So I stayed up that night and I did that portrait and got it in the mail the next day so they'd have time to frame it. But the story that I really want to say is I did a piece with BBC one time, and I got a call at 3 o'clock in the morning from 2 mothers from Scotland. They had just both heard their sons had both died together, and I was their first phone call. And they called to tell me about their sons and have only one question: how soon can you get these portraits to us? And I said, email me the pictures, which were there as soon as I got up. I did the portraits and I shipped them over to them right away. But to think that I was the first call after they learned their sons died in the war, and these people probably didn't even know where Edmonds was. You know, Seattle, by the way, is just outside of Edmonds.
I didn't ask you off the air if this is okay to do this, so I hope it is. You've been drawing more portraits recently. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Why don't you talk about that?
Well, you'll probably be the only people that know about this because I'm really keeping this under wraps. I don't want any press on this. But as of today, the 22nd drawing of the 26 lost in Newtown, Connecticut arrived back there. I have a friend who lives just outside of Newtown, and we've been working with the families for 4 weeks to get these drawings to them. And again, with no press, because this isn't about me, just like this project isn't about me. It's about these families. And if I have the ability, because God gave me a talent, to help these families who have lost their kids feel better, I will. In fact, one of the drawings that was delivered, when the 4-year-old daughter saw the picture unwrapped, she ran over to the picture and kissed her sister on the lips.
That is definitely very powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Michael, I've said this to you before, I cannot thank you enough for what you do. You don't make money from this, you don't charge anybody anything, and you just, I mean, it sounds to me like you're going to keep doing this, as long as you can, right? Am I right?
I'm going to keep doing it as long as it's needed.
Okay.
You know, as
Yeah.
everyone else, I wish it weren't needed. But
Right.
before we go, I want to be sure people understand that Joe Colgan drives 70 miles every Tuesday to pick up the drawings that I've finished that prior week, just so that I can go for my walk or so that I can take a nap, because he knows how hard I work. And I think that's incredible. And Joe is a GoldStar dad, the one you met.
Okay. Before we close, would you all like to say any last words, maybe to Michael? Sorry,
Not
Michael.
to me.
It's
Say
just,
enough.
it's just an amazing talent that he is so willingly shares and brings our loved ones home, and what a blessing. Jeffrey is in our entryway, and no one can get by Jeffrey when they come to our house. So it's a blessing.
Go ahead, okay. Pointing to his watch. Close it here.
I think it's just about 7.
Yeah, just one last word. Go ahead.
Pardon me?
To Michael. Go ahead.
Oh. Thank you, Michael.
You bet, Bennell.
Okay, we are running out of time. I apologize. And once
Ben
again,
was
this
supposed
is
to be
Bob
here.
Calvert. I appreciate everybody who
Ben
is
is here.
listening
Ben is
live, and thousands and thousands are listening after we go off the air. These programs are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on Blog Talk Radio. Plus, on this program, thanks to Don, this should be on YouTube pretty soon, and we will announce when it is available. So I want to thank everybody, to our men and women in Afghanistan serving around the world. I want to thank you for your service to our country, to all of our veterans. Thank you for your service to our country. But those in Afghanistan or anywhere in harm's way, be safe, stay alert. God bless you, and God bless America.